They didn't know the quiet stranger they humiliated controlled everything. An $800 million agreement hung in the balance while champagne glasses clinked. 200 witnesses watched them destroy a man they assumed meant nothing. Cameras captured every second. The room buzzed with shallow conversation, oblivious. One man's silence would cost them their entire empire, and the reckoning began before anyone understood what they'd triggered. Before we continue, we'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button for LostBlack. Your support fuels more powerful narratives like this one. Now, let's dive in. You ever been somewhere that looked perfect on the surface but rotted underneath? That's exactly what Marcus Thompson walked into that evening at the Grandview Plaza Ballroom. He wore a tailored charcoal suit, fresh haircut, understated timepiece. Nothing screamed wealth. He preferred invisibility. Let them wonder. Chandeliers sparkled above ivory-draped tables. A chamber ensemble performed melodies nobody truly heard. Designer fragrances blended with grilled salmon and aged burgundy. Every guest held their phone high, documenting proof of their status. One company logo dominated every display: Apex Innovation Group. The mysterious $800 million merger everyone discussed. Employees gossiped about it near the restrooms. Attendees boasted as if they'd personally negotiated it. Marcus navigated the crowd deliberately, hands relaxed at his sides, observing everything. Security had already questioned him outside. The officer examined him carefully before asking, "You work in the event tonight?" Marcus smiled politely, displaying his obsidian invitation bearing the platinum emblem. The guard retreated, ashamed but unconvinced. Inside, the same energy tracked him. Two women wearing sequined gowns glanced his direction, then clutched their designer bags tighter like he might brush against them. A businessman in formal wear pushed ahead at the beverage station, chuckling, "Staff gets served last, correct?" Marcus simply moved aside and requested sparkling water. No explanations needed. If tonight unfolded as intended, words wouldn't matter. Across the venue, cameras pivoted toward the platform as the MC tested the microphone. His amplified voice cut through the murmuring. "Distinguished guests, welcome to the Apex Innovation Group celebration." Heads rotated. Applause erupted mechanically. Marcus remained beside a pillar, close enough to witness, distant enough to disappear. The MC's grin stretched unnaturally wide. "Tonight, we honor an unprecedented alliance. 800 million. A contract reshaping our city, our industry, perhaps our future." You could taste the greed thickening. Then she entered. Victoria Brennan, the chief executive's spouse, swept onto the stage wearing a shimmering golden gown that captured every photon of light. She gestured like monarchy, crimson lipstick perfect. Beside her stood her husband, Daniel Brennan, the corporation's public face, designer suit impeccably pressed. Every eye fixated on them. Everyone except the man financing their entire deal. "Marcus." Whispers ignited before Marcus took another step. People noticed him peripherally, nudging companions like he'd entered through the delivery entrance. A waitress passed carrying wine, prompting one guest to lean toward her associate. "I keep seeing that individual where he doesn't belong. Perhaps he's catering staff attempting to socialize." Her companion laughed quietly. "Nice jacket, though." Marcus ignored them. He glided through the gathering, movements measured, expression neutral. The plush carpeting muffled every footfall. He studied the stage from afar, gaze unwavering, posture controlled. Victoria spotted him first. Her smirk materialized slowly, recognizing prey she'd anticipated. She whispered something to her husband, and Daniel's expression hardened. Daniel descended from the platform with manufactured charm, approaching Marcus directly. His smile appeared forced. "Excuse me, should you be standing in this area?" He touched Marcus's sleeve like expecting him to flinch. Marcus kept his voice calm. "I'm fine right here, just watching." Daniel chuckled condescendingly. "Watching," naturally. He snapped his fingers toward a server. "Bring him a cloth or something. Looks like he's perspiring through that discount suit." Several guests turned, pretending not to stare. One man whispered loudly enough, "How did he access the VIP section? The employee entrance is around back." Victoria approached next, heels striking the floor in precise rhythm. She lifted a glass of crimson wine from a passing tray without acknowledging the server. She examined Marcus from head to toe. "Listen, sweetheart. If you needed employment tonight, you should have registered properly. Pretending to belong here isn't smart." Marcus remained silent. His composure disturbed them further. Victoria stepped closer, raising the wine glass gradually. "Deliver this to table 7. They've been waiting." She extended it toward his chest. When he didn't accept it, her smile vanished. "Seriously? Perform your duties." Daniel seized the glass from her hand. "Allow me to handle this." He elevated it high, scanning the audience. One less confused worker disrupting the atmosphere. Then he tilted the glass forward, emptying the wine across Marcus's suit. The liquid hit warm and sudden. Several drops traced down Marcus's collar. Audible gasps sliced through conversations. Someone muttered, "He actually did that." Another person raised their phone, filming. Victoria laughed beneath her breath. Maybe now he understands his position. Marcus wiped his jawline with 2 fingers, slowly, deliberately. He straightened his sleeve, adjusted his posture, and walked toward the doors without speaking a single syllable. A server whispered as he passed. "That man carries himself like he runs everything." Nobody believed it. The corridor beyond the ballroom felt significantly cooler, almost soundless after the chaos he abandoned. Marcus moved with measured strides, fingertips grazing the edge of his jacket where wine clung in a dark stain. He exhaled once, quiet, controlled, then retrieved his phone from his pocket. The screen illuminated his features with pale light. He dialed one contact. A voice responded immediately. "Awaiting your directive, sir." Marcus kept his tone low. "Withdraw the proposal. Freeze every communication channel. Issue the announcement immediately." "Understood." He terminated the call without emotion. A couple lingered near the elevators, watching him like they recognized him from somewhere they couldn't identify. The woman murmured, "That's the gentleman they soaked?" He didn't even respond. The man shook his head slowly. Wealthy people never anticipate the quiet ones retaliating. Marcus pressed the elevator button and offered them a brief nod. Nothing more. As he descended, he loosened his tie slightly. The faint scent of wine persisted in the fabric. The elevator ride hummed with gentle instrumental music that dissolved into the walls. Marcus's reflection stared back. Steady eyes, composed expression. He reviewed a second message. The legal department had already confirmed execution. Everything was progressing. When the doors opened, the lobby bustled with guests stepping outside for phone calls, cocktails, or fresh rumors. Someone noticed the wine stain and whispered, "That's him." He overheard another voice near the lounge. "Something feels wrong. You don't move like that unless you matter." Marcus continued past them without slowing. Outside, the evening air carried a sharp chill, enough to clarify his thoughts. A valet rushed forward, but Marcus raised his hand gently. "I'll walk, thanks." The valet retreated, uncertain. As Marcus crossed the entrance drive, illumination from the ballroom spilled across the pavement. Music inside surged, then stopped abruptly. People turned toward the glass windows, confused. A man near the entrance muttered, "Why did everything cease?" Something happened inside, perhaps complications with the merger. His companion shrugged, but her gaze remained fixed on the room. Marcus reached the parking lot's edge. His phone vibrated again. A message appeared. Announcement transmitted, partners notified. He locked the screen and returned the phone to his pocket. Behind him, the hotel's glass entrance burst open. Voices erupted in shock. Chairs scraped. A sudden wave of panic flooded the lobby. Guests rushed toward the doors, desperate to comprehend what collapsed. Marcus didn't turn around. He stepped beneath the street lamp, shoulders loose, face unreadable, moving with the same quiet certainty he maintained all evening. While the city pulsed around him, the first tremor of destruction began inside the ballroom he'd abandoned. He continued walking. The night accompanied him. Inside the ballroom, everything shattered simultaneously. The music stopped mid-phrase, monitors flickered, and the MC froze with his expression half-formed. A tall executive in a slate suit rushed between tables, phone pressed against his ear. His face transformed from confusion to terror. He whispered something to the MC, whose complexion turned ashen. Daniel noticed first. "What's happening?" he demanded. The MC swallowed visibly. "The signing has been halted." The room exploded. Discussions erupted sharp and overlapping like frantic currents. Someone near the platform muttered, "Halted? For what reason?" A woman whispered to her companion, "That's impossible. You don't cancel an $800 million contract during a gala." Victoria attempted maintaining composure, but her hand trembled. She leaned toward the MC. "Who authorized this?" The MC looked terrified to respond. "It originated from the highest authority. The partner stated the directive was irreversible. Daniel's jaw clenched. Who is the highest authority? I am the highest authority. The MC shook his head. Not tonight. Throughout the venue, executives checked their devices. Notifications appeared rapidly, each worse than the previous. Someone exclaimed, "Every account connected to Apex Innovation just froze." Another voice added, "Investors are withdrawing. My portfolio is collapsing." Gasps propagated through the space. Cameras clicked repeatedly. Even the servers stopped circulating. Then someone near the exits tapped a friend and whispered, "Watch this." The friend leaned closer, eyes expanding. Wait, isn't that the individual they poured wine on? A video played on a smartphone. The footage showed Daniel dumping wine on Marcus. The splash clear, Victoria sneering. The caption read, "They humiliated someone they assumed was nobody. He departed like he controlled everything." The clip traveled through the room instantaneously. Guests stared. Phones lifted. Gasps transformed into sharp silence. Victoria grabbed Daniel's arm. "Fix this now," he snapped back. "I don't even comprehend what broke." Her voice fractured. "Someone executed this deliberately." A new alert materialized on the primary display monitors. Apex Innovation Group contract terminated. Daniel blinked hard. "Terminated. No warning. No negotiation." Someone from the board confronted him. "This is catastrophic. Do you comprehend who you disrespected?" Daniel barked. "I disrespected nobody." The board member shot back. "You disrespected the man financing this entire deal." Victoria's breathing hitched. "Who?" The board member's voice dropped. "Marcus Thompson." Daniel's face drained of color. The board member continued. "He owns the partner corporation. Completely." A collective gasp rippled across the hall. A server whispered near the wall. "Told you he didn't carry himself like staff." Another server responded quietly. "They provoked the wrong person severely." Daniel looked around the venue like oxygen had disappeared. Victoria pressed her hand against her forehead, makeup smearing. Her voice shook. "We poured wine on the investor." The destruction hit with full intensity. Guests retreated. Some departed quietly, others documented everything. Apex Innovation's future fractured in real time, and somewhere outside, Marcus kept walking. Morning arrived brutally for Daniel and Victoria. Headlines saturated every screen before dawn. Footage of the wine incident looped endlessly. Comments destroyed them without mercy. Investors abandoned ship. Partners evaporated. Board members resigned overnight. Apex Innovation's valuation plummeted so rapidly it seemed surreal. Victoria barely slept. She sat on the bed's edge, hands trembling, mascara streaked, phone buzzing constantly. Daniel paced their bedroom, hair disheveled, shirt creased. Every call he placed concluded with the same blunt response. "We're finished. Don't contact us again." By midday, Victoria told him, "We must speak with him. If we don't, everything vanishes." Daniel hesitated, then nodded weakly. They drove to Marcus's peaceful neighborhood, the complete opposite of their chaotic morning. When Marcus answered the door, he studied them with calm eyes, like none of the storm affected him. Victoria spoke first, her voice breaking. "We were mistaken. We treated you like you were invisible. Please allow us to correct this," Daniel added, voice unsteady. "We've lost everything. Just grant us an opportunity to talk." Marcus stepped aside but didn't welcome them inside. He maintained his tone, soft yet firm. "You didn't lose everything today. You forfeited it the moment you decided people's value depended on your comfort." They remained silent. He continued, "You constructed a reality where you believed disrespect carried no consequences. Now you're witnessing the price." Victoria wiped her face, whispering, "We didn't know who you were." Marcus answered, "That's precisely the problem. You didn't care who I was." Daniel swallowed hard. "Is there anything we can possibly do?" Marcus shook his head once. "The agreement is gone. The trust is gone. And my door is closed." He stepped backward and concluded with a quiet final statement. "Move carefully. The world is smaller than you believe." They departed with nothing. His life advanced forward. Their legacy didn't. If you want more narratives where power shifts in a single moment and justice arrives clean, hit follow and stay connected with LostBlack for stories that matter. What happened to Marcus Thompson after that night reveals something deeper about how respect and dignity operate in spaces where money talks loudest. He didn't celebrate his victory. He didn't post about it. He simply continued building what he'd always built, systems that valued people over appearances. 3 weeks after the gala, Marcus sat in his modest downtown office reviewing proposals from smaller companies that major investors typically ignored. His assistant knocked gently before entering. "Sir, there's another request from the Brennans, fifth one this week." Marcus glanced up briefly. "Same answer." "Understood." But the story didn't end with rejection. It evolved into something else entirely, a lesson that spread through corporate circles faster than any press release could. Video clips from that night became case studies in business schools, not about revenge, but about the cost of assumption. A professor at Howard University used the footage in her ethics course. "Class, watch how quickly an empire crumbles when it's built on disrespect. Notice the body language. The wine wasn't the weapon, the assumption was." Students leaned forward captivated. "This man," she continued, pointing at Marcus on the screen, "understood something the Brennans never learned. Power isn't about the loudest voice in the room. It's about knowing when silence speaks volumes." Meanwhile, Daniel and Victoria's fall became legendary for different reasons. Their company didn't just lose one deal, it lost credibility. Partners who'd worked with them for years quietly distanced themselves. Not because Marcus told them to, but because the footage raised questions they'd ignored before. How many others had Daniel and Victoria treated this way when cameras weren't watching? A former Apex employee spoke anonymously to a business journalist. That night just confirmed what we already knew. They treated everyone beneath them like props. Marcus Thompson wasn't the first. He was just the first who had the power to make it matter. The article went viral. Victoria tried damage control through a publicized apology video. She sat in their dimmed living room, makeup perfect, lighting soft, reading from a script her PR team prepared. "We deeply regret our actions that evening. We failed to demonstrate the values we claim to represent." Comments flooded in immediately. "Too late. You're sorry you got caught. Where was this energy before you lost everything?" The video was deleted within 48 hours. Daniel attempted a different approach, reaching out to mutual connections, trying to find anyone who could broker a conversation with Marcus. He called former board members, old college friends, even distant relatives who might have a connection. Every conversation ended the same way. "Marcus Thompson doesn't take meetings he doesn't initiate. You should have thought about this before." 6 months later, Apex Innovation Group filed for bankruptcy. The $800 million deal that could have saved them became a ghost story, a reminder of what happens when ego exceeds wisdom. Marcus, meanwhile, redirected that same $800 million toward 3 smaller firms led by people who'd been overlooked by traditional investors. 2 were Black-owned. One was founded by a formerly incarcerated entrepreneur who'd rebuilt his life from nothing. He didn't announce it publicly. No press conference, no social media campaign, just quiet investments that changed lives. One of those entrepreneurs, a woman named Shanice Harper, spoke about it months later during a podcast interview. "I'd been rejected by every major investor in this city. They looked at my resume, my neighborhood, my background, and they saw risk. Marcus Thompson looked at the same things and saw potential. That's the difference between people who have power and people who understand it." The host asked, "Did he ever mention what happened at that gala?" Shanice smiled. "Never. Not once. That's not who he is. He's not interested in being the story. He's interested in changing the story." Back at that same Grandview Plaza ballroom where everything unfolded, new management took over. They renovated the space, rebranded the venue, tried erasing the memory of that night. But every staff member who worked there still remembered. A young server named Terrence, who'd witnessed the entire incident, was asked by a curious guest about the building's history. "Anything interesting ever happen here?" Terrence paused, then smiled slightly. "Yeah, this is where a man taught 200 people that respect isn't negotiable, without saying a single word." The guest looked confused. "What do you mean? Look it up. The Apex Innovation Scandal. It'll teach you more about dignity than any business book ever could." And that's exactly what happened. The story spread not as gossip, but as gospel. A modern parable about what happens when you mistake someone's quietness for weakness, their humility for insignificance, their patience for permission. Marcus Thompson never sought vindication. He simply demonstrated that real power doesn't need to announce itself. It just moves. And when it moves, everything else shifts to accommodate it. The Brennans learned that lesson too late. The world learned it just in time. If stories like this speak to you, stories where justice doesn't scream but whispers, where dignity defeats arrogance, where the quiet ones reshape everything, then LostBlack is your home. Subscribe, stay locked in, and let's keep telling the stories that matter.